Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to whoever may be listening. My name is JD Ferrell. I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Illinois, and this is a Modern Man podcast presented to you by the Modern Podcast Network. Thank you for tuning in to whoever's listening again. I want to thank all the Martynites, all the listeners, everyone who is consistently coming to the program for whatever reason brings you here. Whether you're a random listener, whether you're a friend of me, whether you're a friend of the program, whether you're a friend of a friend. But thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And let's get going. Today we're going to talk about an upcoming event for the next Men in Community event that we had the one for April this past month, which was like Pages and Frames 2, where the first one you brought in a book or film that kind of meant something to you, that touched you and you felt like sharing with the group. And only one gentleman really spoke about his book. But I gave this as the time for someone to maybe bring a book that they didn't get a chance to share last time, or now they can bring a poem or a film that meant something to them. To recap, I brought the first time It Was Me All Along. One of the best books I've ever read. Touch Me by Andy Mitchell. I shared with her how much it affected me, how much it shaped me. Talking about weight loss, talking about the struggle to just find yourself and knowing it was me all along. So even though our identities are not, I'm pointing at her if you can see it from the video podcast. It Was Me All Along by Andy Mitchell. We don't share identities at all, but we do share a connection to her story. And I've always valued that. But this week, I brought Life Itself. I recommend this movie to anyone. I'm going to say again. I recommend this movie to anyone. Now that it's 2026, I guess it is an older movie. I believe it's from maybe 2019. But in that era of 2019, the 2020, when we all wanted something more introspective, it was around the racial reckoning. All this time, we wanted to feel something. We wanted to feel something. So rom-coms were dead. I think rom-coms still are dead. But this was your new gen remixed rom-com. Still to this day, I think it's surpassed A Walk to Remember, Save the Last Dance, all those Love Jones, all those Love and Basketball. I'm going to keep going. Yes. Life Itself has surpassed those as best rom-coms. Maybe to me, that is an opinion-based statement. But I think my opinion is pretty valid in this. I feel like I have a cinematic eye. I'm objective. My best friend Steven, who has been on the pod as well, has always said, you have taken pride in being like a fan of multiple things. So being an objective third party and taking the fandom out of it when it comes to sports, when it comes to film, all these things. So objectively, I think Life Itself has to be the best rom-com to date. And a quick little recap, not to spoil it, but the thing that makes this fucking movie so great and why I love it, why I bawled my eyes out crying almost every time I see it when I'm very present and actually watching the movie, is it shares the love story. So you're just watching the movie and you're watching these people fall in love. And then you see maybe that love story ends, but then that love story goes back to another love story. And you're like, okay. And then it goes to another love story. And then it goes down to another love story. So you see that love didn't even start when you wanted to start with that person. We're always longing, we're always searching for this one person, to spend eternity with our match, our soulmate, our partner, our husband, our wife, whatever label fits you. We're all looking for that. But it didn't even start with you having this urge, this anxiety, this angst, this search. No, it started with your parents and their longing and their angst and their search and their longing. But wait, it didn't start there. They had parents, and their parents had a longing and an angst and a search and a want. And then before them, maybe your parents just had practicality. There wasn't a longing and angst. So to see all these layers of a love story was so beautiful. And the reason it connected more with me, and I think we all just come from more complicated and disjointed family units. So me especially, not really having a connection with my biological family, having a different racial identity than my biological family, I definitely feel like I don't know my story. So to know that the story of me finding myself, having a family, falling in love, whatever that may look like, it didn't start with me. This angst I have, it started with my parents' angst, however that happened. And the angst before me, and the angst before me. And even like mine is even more intricate because it's the love story of my biological parents, but then there's an also sub story of my adopted parents because their path got them here to get me here. And see how it's all just like, yeah, nothing that happened in your life is just solely your responsibility. So it's maybe relieving this pressure, stress, accountability of what you have to do, who you are, what you have to be. That's what it's removing, because it didn't start with you. There's generations before you that led up to who you are today. And I've spoke about this in a different context on the podcast before, not in the context of love, in the context of what you want to be in the world and the language you speak and things like that. But thinking of who you want to love and who you're going to be and the family you're going to have and the story that you're going to be able to share and pass down did not start with you. It started generations before you. And you can do whatever you can, but whoever you are is so much more than you. It took generations to get you here and to make you. So that's why it's so connected with me, because it's not just the love, but you also fall in love with yourself along the way, and you fall in love with your family. So life itself, if you have, not to put more money into Bezos' pocket, but go watch it on Prime, please. Tell me, like, comment, share. At The Modern Therapist JD, send me your thoughts. At The Modern HQ, send me your thoughts. I would love, if you actually watch Life Itself, please let me know. So that was recapping the past Men in Community event. Now we're going to discuss on this week's podcast what we're doing for next month's Men in Community event. And I think these are kind of cute. I want to play with the names a little bit that I have going. These are 3 ideas. I'm going to start with number 1. Number 1, by the way, it is going to be a recipe exchange. I love cooking, so I'm going to talk about a little of what cooking is, what cooking means to me, and then share a couple of my favorite recipes on the pod. So for the recipe exchange for our Men in Community event, number 1, taste and tell. Oh, come on, taste and tell. Please. Like show and tell, but taste and tell. Like you taste it and tell. I think it's gold. I love it. Taste and tell. Number 2, the flavor exchange. I was thinking that was number 1, but then I was like, okay. Taste and tell was rising, but flavor exchange, like I'm thinking of, what's that Guy Fieri, like Flavor Town, the flavor exchange. Like we're exchanging flavors. I'm here for it. And number 3, sliding down at the bottom. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We might go with it. Who knows? The culinary currency. Like your currency, what you're bringing is something culinary. The culinary currency, right? Yeah. Number 3. What do you think? What do we got? Taste and tell. The flavor exchange. or culinary currency? Uh, we letting it percolate. We're going to have to decide before the end of the week. So, again, send me your thoughts. At The Modern Therapist JD, at The Modern HQ. I think it's going to be Taste and Tell. I think it's going to be Taste and Tell probably. But those are the fun names for the upcoming event, the Recipe Exchange, where men are invited to bring a recipe that reminds them of their childhood, reminds them of a lover, reminds them of their dad, reminds them of their nana, their nona, their abuela. So I'm trying to go through all the different grandma references, madre. I know the ones more in Spanish. But what reminds them of them? What makes them feel them? If they don't have a family connection, what reminds them of who they are and how they like to move into the world? It could just be a good ass damn recipe that they like making. It could have nothing deep and introspective meaning. It could be superficial as, I make this for dinner parties. It's fire. It looks cool. People always love me for making it. It's a recipe exchange. It's for men to come together and just bring something. It's your culinary currency. See? Started from the bottom. Now we're here. So that is the idea for this event. And going into that, I want to start sharing or begin sharing what cooking means to me. Because I have a deep, deep, deep love, passion, joy, excitement, sometimes anger, fear, definitely fear sometimes, lots of fear of cooking. Yeah. The beautiful emotion wheel that a lot of therapists have that you may see in classrooms. I have all the emotions about cooking. Usually good, but not always. It's not always subjugated to good emotions. But to me, cooking is familial. Cooking is love. Cooking is a hug. Cooking is community. Using that word a lot. Cooking is, I was going to say communal, but cooking is community. Cooking is home. Cooking is safe. It's warm. I might have said joy. I just have this idea of just laughter and excitement and chaos, but in a beautiful, fun, spectacular way. And that is what I feel cooking is. Sometimes why I don't like to do meal prep when people, I'm meal prepping. Did everything I just described to you sound like that's what meal prepping is? Joy and fun and chaos and excitement? No, that's not what meal prepping is. So I think that's where, personally, the disconnect comes with meal prepping for me. Because even when I'm trying to make like a quick 15, 20 minutes in and out of there, I'm putting some love and joy and passion into that. And it's hard for me to just be like in and out and quick with that shit. When I cook for you, I want to show you who I am. I want to show you how I taste. Am I sweet? Am I spicy? Am I a little hot? A little messy? Am I all put together, you know? Cooking is an expression of identity. I think the amount someone cooks is very important. It shows you where they were raised, how they grew up, what culture they come from. Me growing up in the South, I'm always going to have something I cook, a snack when you come into the door. That's that Southern hospitality. And then if I'm cooking, I'm making loads. If there's 12 people, I'm making enough stuff for 20 people, maybe 25 people. There's many different cultural ethnicities and backgrounds that abundance of cooking is just a part of who they are. And that goes hand in hand with eating. If you don't eat, it's an insult. The one part of this I couldn't really wrap my head around is those people who take time to like make you something close to their culture that's really intimate, that's intricate, that took depth, just really a part of them. And then they made a normal size amount of it. They made enough for everyone to maybe split a piece or try a nibble or even one each. What goes through those people's minds? I'm curious. I've asked a couple people and they had no fucking idea. They were like, I don't know. I've only known the opposite. Because minorities and different identities and even just low income individuals, because food, when you're in low income, is happiness. So are we saying, is it a cultural thing? Is it a food insecurity thing? Is it a Southern thing? Is it a Midwestern hosting thing? I don't know what the 1% are like, if they're even taking time to cook, to have these memories, to make something with their hands that's going to really remind them of where they came from. I'm not in that class. But I've navigated and moved through multiple social classes, and the consistent thing I've seen is those who enjoy community, that enjoy togetherness, usually cook in abundance. So I would assume the same for them, but I'm not sure. I'm so curious. I'm so curious of what someone with small portions who's going to say they have a chocolate chip cookie recipe that their grandma used to make for them, and 10 people show up and they make 12 cookies. What is going through that person's brain? I want to slap them, personally. Want to slap them. Maybe they just have a healthy relationship with food. I can't get mad at them. That's really what cooking means to me. The love, the family, the hug, the warmth, the joy. There's sometimes anger, because sometimes shit's hard to make. And you get pissed and you fuck it up. And you spend a lot of money on something and you fuck it up and you overcook it. I've overcooked a prime rib, bought a whole damn prime rib and overcooked it. Which now we're going into me and my beginnings of cooking and starting of cooking and all that jazz, you know. So let's talk about how it all started. Going back to the beginning. I, like most just normal kids, it's not like cooking came natural to me. I was not Gordon Ramsay Jr. out here in the kitchen. That was not me. It started very practical. And it wasn't until after I was adopted, so it was about almost 12 years old, when I started helping my mom, and she would just say, it was a way for us to bond. I would sometimes help her with stuff while we were cooking. I do remember that. And then when she would come home from work at like 6, she would have me maybe prepping stuff so it can be done. About time she took her clothes off, maybe rinsed off, and we're ready to sit for dinner. It was usually casseroles, putting stuff, into a casserole dish, whether it's the chicken noodle soup with the rice, some chicken, and just putting it all in there for an hour and a half beforehand, putting stuff in a crock pot, peeling potatoes, very practical things. Whether I was sous chefing or prepping for the whole family beforehand, it was very practical stuff. I do remember when I started to get in high school, and whether it was me and Steven trying to do healthier stuff and cook, or just cook for fun. I make some homemade stuff as kids do, try and have some fun. She would get absolutely pissed, absolutely fucking pissed, because my mom would buy food for meals. And I think she just assumed there's leftovers in there. If you're hungry, eat the leftovers. But sometimes you're a kid and you want to experiment. You want to make some stuff. You want to cook. And I swear, every time we cooked, it was like, that was for a meal. That was for a meal. It's funny looking back that didn't create any scars and apprehension for me cooking and always assuming stuff is for meals. That did go into my grocery shopping and how I buy stuff. I'm trying to now unlearn that, because so much I would be going to the grocery store and buying stuff for meals. And then I would realize when I wanted to just have a snack or something to eat in between, or maybe not want to cook a whole damn meal, I would have nothing of those in between things in my pantry or my fridge because everything I was buying was for a meal. I was only cooking for a meal. So it didn't create, apprehensive of obstacles or barriers to me actually enjoying cooking and engaging in cooking. But it did fuck up my groceries and my house, and even, I guess, in terms of diet, because now that, since I've been an adult, things like DoorDash and delivery has been a big thing. So if I don't have stuff to cook, I'm just going to order. So that's not great. But again, I'm an adult. I got to unlearn these things myself. I'm not blaming that on them. But moving on to, when did I start enjoying cooking? Like really enjoying cooking. And thinking about it, I started enjoying cooking because I enjoyed eating. I'm a Southern boy. I'm a big Southern boy. We thick. We played football. We big. We big out here. Okay. And now the big back activities, but that's just how we grew up. Sweets. Yeah. I still love donuts to this day. It's hard to find a bad donut. I have had, it's more old donuts or bad donuts. It's hard to find a bad fresh donut. But saying that, I got into cooking with desserts. I loved baking. Whether it's first making the box, because that's easy. You can have a couple eggs, some vegetable oil. I remember on those Betty Crocker cake mixes. And I think that's about it. Just oil, a couple eggs, and you made a cake. And you could design it, and you could frost it, and it was so fun. I used to love it. And then you get to make it from scratch. I worked in a hospital kitchen when I first turned 18 and was in college. So all the cooking there. But I was a terrible baker. I was a terrible pastry chef, as you may say. Because it's a science. And yes, I was a chem major for a couple years, and I'm good at science. I like science. But what did I, again, just describe cooking? Cooking is fun. It's family. It's sensual. It's sexy. It's chaotic. That's not science. Science is not sexy and chaotic and fun. No. Science is put together. So when doing pastries, as we're just going to say a pastry chef, measurements have to be right. Timing has to be right. Procedure has to be right. Technique has to be right. Ingredients have to be right. Yet none of that is what I just described, what I love about cooking and what cooking means to me. So I failed. Amount of things I burned. Amount of things that I didn't add enough sugar to. Yeah, bad, misshaped. There's still, I think, a picture I need to delete of like a penis cake I tried to make in New York. And that was well after I decided I'm not a pastry chef. But I still went out for it. But I can't do the desserts. I can't. And there was a couple year process of where I tried. I tried. And then I surely failed. And then after leaving Texas, finishing college in Oklahoma, and then moving to New York, the seeds started to get planted in Oklahoma, because Oklahoma is little brother of Texas, significantly little brother. We'll say 2 brothers down. Like maybe Louisiana is the middle child, and then Oklahoma is like that peewee little brother that he's the accident of the family. But they're still related, still very much related. And I missed a lot of the food from Texas. This is what I mean, not closely related. Louisiana, we got way closer in food, bigger as well. Not trying to insult, the Oklahomans out there. Just trying to let you know, the food needs a little more flavor, okay? You don't got the queso as we do in Texas. You don't got the Cajun food as we do in Texas and they got over in Louisiana. The chicken fried steak ain't as good. The steak ain't as good. The barbecue ain't as good. Why do I have to explain myself? But I am. Back to what I was saying. When I was first staying in Oklahoma, I missed a lot of my good Southern Texas food, the Mexican food, as I was just repeating everything that's better. So in craving these flavors, moving less towards the sweets guy, I started to explore making the stuff that made me miss home, even as simple as some biscuits and gravy. So as I'm in the early 20s in Oklahoma, I'm dabbling, I'm fucking up, but I'm trying. And then we go to, well, we, as in me, move to New York, and me and Steven create Chelsea Night. I might have talked about Chelsea Nights on this podcast, but Chelsea Night was named for two reasons. Still follow her on Instagram. It's Chelsea Fagan. She is a author. She is a lifestyle socialite guru. I don't know what the name her, but before I think she just used to work at Steven's company, and she would always post on Instagram all these elaborate dinners that she was hosting for people, and he always wanted to do that. Like make food from scratch, host, have a nice community. Food is community. Cooking is community. So we were like, okay, they're kind of named after Chelsea. But here's the kicker. Steven lived in Chelsea at the time as well, in Chelsea, New York, in the neighborhood of Chelsea. So we were having Chelsea nights in Chelsea. Come on now. That's just so cute. It's so cute. And so we loved it. Like Chelsea nights started there. We would do Chelsea nights. And then that was when Game of Thrones was still popping. So we would watch our Game of Thrones together on Sunday nights as well. And that's when we started making some really like from scratch homemade things, both being from Texas, both having similar palates. Stuff that we loved, enjoyed, and couldn't get in New York. Because if you think Oklahoma don't got the food they got in Texas, New York definitely don't got the food they got in Texas. They got some good food in New York. They got some damn good food. Not as good as Chicago. Just want to make that case already. But they don't got Southern Texas. You can't find it nowhere. You can't find. No, it's pitiful. It's pitiful. It's pitiful. So Chelsea nights went strong for a couple years. We even did, I think, multiple Thanksgivings together, where one was, I think, together, and then one, I believe, was a Friendsgiving. But again, Chelsea nights. It started with Chelsea Fagan and in Chelsea. And so that's how we had that shared growth. And then when I was bartending the whole time, but during this time, I became much more of a craft bartender, a craft cocktail bartender. Excuse my language. And with being a craft cocktail bartender, you're making different syrups. You're not just using simple syrup. Because initially, you're using simple syrup for even old fashions. So now you're using simple syrup and demerara. Then you're making a mint simple. Now you're going to do a rosemary simple. Now I'm going to do a lemon rosemary simple. Now I'm going to do a lemon berry mint simple. Now I'm going to do a citrus sulfuric acid. Now I'm going to do I was trying to think of all the cool, interesting techniques that when it comes to bartending. But once you become a craft cocktail bartender, you're using a bunch of techniques. You're taking a lot of base flavors, mixing them, combining it to create another equally stronger base flavor and adding that. Because you usually need an acid, a sugar, and alcohol, and maybe a juice. And that's usually the acid. Sorry, an acid, a sweetener, and alcohol to like create a cocktail. So now let's say you have a juice. Mix different juices from scratch. The acid, mix different acids from scratch. If you want a syrup, make different syrups from scratch. If you want alcohol, now you can even flavor and make the alcohols from scratch. If you mix different rums, you create different rums. So with taking this knowledge, with taking all these techniques, I was trying to say a milk punch, doing all that, but there's hundreds of different techniques you could be using. But in saying that, if you're doing all these techniques with all these liquids, with all this alcohol to create some master cocktail, some concoction, why don't I take this same approach to food, to something I eat 2 to 3 times a day? So taking all the base flavors, base ingredients, there's usually a protein, a vegetable, a starch, and then same thing, whether it's sweet, salty, adding flavors, and let me combine and mix these flavors. let me add all these colors. Just adding 5, 6 different peppers and seeing all those beautiful colors with ground beef or carne asada or chicken or pollo. See, that's how you can tell I don't speak Spanish. But combining all the raw, beautiful flavors begin in bartending. So as I became a better bartender, as I cared about that craft and got better at that craft, I got a hell of a lot better at cooking. Because you realize, I'll just do the same thing and then bam, as homeboy, bam, add a new flavor, mix a new flavor, pop it in there. And that's where my genuine love and growth of cooking started to blossom and really started to explore. Also being at home at COVID and not going to restaurants 24/7 forced that. But that's not the point. I could be cooking trash, but I ain't cooking trash. And I would say I'm good enough now that I would call myself an intermediate chef. I see chefs daily through plenty of kitchens. And I would call myself, I've had enough training that I would call myself an intermediate. I could be a sous. I could be somebody's sous. My cutting skills need a bit. But wrapping up that, cooking is love, cooking is family, cooking is community. Cooking is chaos, but we love it. We love it. Now I'm going to share 3 recipes. I might bring one of these to the recipe exchange. I'm assuming I will, but I'm just going to share these 3 with you and why they have a little connection, why they mean something to me. The first is African chicken peanut soup. Black man talking about Africa. Yes, but it's the white people. The white people who showed me the African chicken peanut soup. I know. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But when my parents were missionaries, before they even knew I existed, they were all living in Africa. Mom, dad, brothers, sisters, sister. Living in Africa, doing their thing. I believe Equatorial Guinea was one of the places. I know they were at a couple different places. And they picked up on, I think someone who lived in the house would make this for them. It's a peanut butter based soup with similar to mole, if you're familiar in the Latin community, but mole is chocolate based. This is peanut butter based. So it's a spicy peanut butter based. Think of like the look of it's like a curry, like a red curry, but peanut butter base. Very flavorful, very spicy. I prefer without nuts. You can make it with nuts. I don't like nuts in my food. I remember when mom went through this phase. That comes where she was putting nuts in everything, make it healthy. It was the 2009s, 8s, where everybody was putting pine nuts and almonds and shit and everything. I hate nuts in my food. But the African chicken peanut soup without peanuts and the chicken, now that I think about it, I probably would prefer it with chicken thighs than chicken breasts. But either way, that shit's fire. Over a bed of nice rice. Oh, I just remember my homie Steven when he came over. He didn't eat a lot of the stuff that our parents made, but when he made that, he finished the bowl about a second and got another bowl real quick. He fucked with that. He did like that. And to this day, I think, that's one of the most signature things that she has made. There's plenty of amazing things she has made, but that one will always stick with me. Number 2, what they say, an oldie but goodie. Sausage, biscuits, and gravy. I'm as basic as they come, but I was raised in the deep South. I grew up eating catfish and grits, fried pork chops and grits, a lot of just fried and grits. And so biscuits and gravy, even though they clog my arteries, make me go into a food coma, make me feel like shit. Big back activities make me put on 5 pounds in a setting. I love biscuits and gravy. People look at Americans, people look at even people from the South, people in the Northeast, people in the Pacific Northwest, look at people like, what the fuck are you doing? No. I don't know if there's anything better in this world than biscuits and gravy. And that can go and expand into mashed potatoes and gravy and chicken fried steak. But I am okay with just the basis of some nice biscuits and gravy. I'm getting hungry thinking about it. It's not even biscuits and gravy time of the day, but that's so damn good. Oh, and it gets fucked up so much. Bad gravy. Oh, so much. Oh, now I want some. Okay, the last thing on my list is something that's more an adult version of me. It's this kid who was raised in the South from Florida and Texas, and then lived with white parents through his adolescence, and then was finding himself in New York and now settled in the Midwest and has his own palate. So this dish, I'll make it for a female companion every now and then. I love making it for myself. I brought it to work to make it for staff when I worked at cocktail bars, and we've worked with multiple people to bring food for everyone. It's a creamy Cajun chicken and shrimp pasta. And I say all that because the base of it remember as that comes from a base, think of a creamy Alfredo sauce. And you can use half and half, so it's very low carb. So the base of it, you can just make a creamy Alfredo sauce. But I told you, I'm that Southern boy with that Cajun flavor. So I like to make a creamy Cajun Alfredo sauce. I usually add spinach too, so we know we're getting healthy. Throw that spinach in there. You got some fresh tomatoes, onions. You can just remember color. Throw a bunch of color in there. And you got the red popping with the tomatoes. You got the red popping with the creamy Cajun sauce. Throw some green peppers in there. Throw some yellow peppers in there. Just pop a bunch of color in there. And you can leave it at that with the spinach. And then maybe add some protein. Just throw some chicken. You can eat it as is. Or you can throw some shrimp in there. Eat it as is. Or you can throw chicken and shrimp in there. Now you got the Cajun creamy chicken Cajun and shrimp. Or you can throw some ground beef in there if you want a different kind of a beef protein. And now, again, eating it just like that. Or you can throw it over into some noodles. Now you really have the creamy Cajun chicken and shrimp pasta. Or the creamy Cajun pasta. Or you can throw that same thing over some rice. Trust me. Normally, I'm like, oh. Because I've seen marinara. I do some work for the Chicago Fire team. They like marinara over rice. We're not going to get into that right now. But no, this is fire over some rice. So you can do it over pasta. You can do it over rice. You can do it low carb and just do it by itself. You can do it vegetarian. You can do it with protein. So versatile. So versatile. And that's why I love this dish. It's me. It's me. It's versatile. So versatile. It can come about 7, 8, 10 different ways, and y'all still love it. You still love it. And that may be the recipe that I bring, because it's at this point my own recipe. I've just seen it online and seen people have made it a few times and just created my own concoction from it. So those are my 3 recipes: African chicken peanut soup, biscuits and gravy, and creamy Cajun chicken and shrimp pasta. And now for a critical thinking segment. Similar to I did, I want you to explore the meaning of cooking with you and your culture. So, what does cooking mean to you and your culture? I want you to think about that, and I want you to respond. I want you to have this conversation with a friend, a colleague, a partner. Next question I want you to have with a friend, a colleague, a partner, a parent. If you could only have one recipe to represent you or your culture, what would that be? Again, wherever you may be listening, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of a Modern Man podcast presented to you by the Modern Podcast Network. Again, cooking is family. Cooking is chaos, but we love it. My name is JD Ferrell. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Illinois. And thank you for listening. Have a great week.